in 7:30 p.m. for the national address by Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew. Dr. Drew is also participating in the 49th CARICOM meeting, which is taking place in Jamaica. And he is there with a contingent. That's the 49th CARICOM Heads of Government meeting. This meeting is where the heads of government meet to discuss matters of regional importance and to discuss the way forward in terms of regional cooperation. So last evening, the 6th, Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew attended the official opening ceremony of the 49th meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, which is held in Montego Bay, Jamaica. The Prime Minister was joined by his delegation, which included the Foreign Affairs Minister, the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas, Permanent Secretary in the Prime Minister's Office, Naima Hazel, Press Secretary Javan Liebert, Director in the Prime Minister's Office, Vera Galloway, and Senior Foreign Service Officer, Bijan Hazel. The opening ceremony marked the formal commencement of the two-day summit, bringing together regional leaders to address shared priorities, including climate resilience, regional security, food and energy sovereignty, economic growth, digital transformation, and the advancement of the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, otherwise known as CSME. The meeting is especially significant as it ushers in the chairmanship of the Caribbean Community by the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, the Prime Minister of Jamaica. The participation of St. Kitts and Nevis reflects the Federation's deep commitment to regional integration and its active role in advancing collective action on the global stage. The government of St. Kitts and Nevis remains steadfast in supporting the ideals and mechanisms of CARICOM, particularly as the region faces mounting global challenges that demand innovation and decisive leadership. And this statement comes on the heels of a statement made by the Prime Minister some time back, where he said that St. Kitts and Nevis remains committed to the CARICOM group, and he spoke about the number of benefits that are derived from being a member of CARICOM and OECS as well. But there are benefits in being a part of CARICOM. Of course, over the years, CARICOM has been criticized in terms of basically calling on CARICOM to do more and believing that CARICOM has the potential to do more, but there isn't the push or there isn't the greater focus on efficiency on CARICOM's part. But this meeting looks at how these islands in the Caribbean can work together, can cooperate. They mentioned climate resilience and digital transformation, which I believe is a major thing, especially as you're talking about healthcare. In 2025, we should be able to enter a hospital and ask for our records that were initially entered at a health center or at a community center. And so these are things that the CARICOM as a whole should be working on. When you're talking about regional security and tackling the issue of crime and violence, these are conversations that must happen at the CARICOM level, because you can't have one island nation doing everything in their power to tackle the issue of crime and violence and the smuggling of drugs and ammunition, but other countries in the region are lagging behind, they are falling behind. That, for me, doesn't make any sense. And so I hope that those discussions would also, be center stage, would be priority at the CARICOM meeting, which is currently taking place there in Jamaica. You're listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm your host, Devonne Cornelius, and thank you for joining me on the program for today. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation here on The Edge. Stay with us.
Want to get away? The Uwali Beach Resort is calling your name. Whether you're dreaming of a romantic escape, a family adventure, or a peaceful retreat, Uwali has it all. Relax in comfort, enjoy fresh local and international cuisine, and soak up the sun on the best beach in Nevis. Take advantage of our staycation special, exclusively for citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis. Ready to book? Call us at 469-9735 or 662-9735. Email reservations@uwalibeach.com. And don't forget to use promo code ZIZ. Your escape starts now.
You've worked hard to build your dream home. Now it's time to protect it with ICWI's A-Plus homeowners policy. From hurricane damage to unexpected losses, we've got you covered with the best homeowners protection in the region. Protect your most valuable asset with coverage for what matters most when it matters the most. ICWI, we know insurance. You know you're protected. ICWI, serving you is all we do. Click, call, or visit ICWI today. Visit us at 1 Seabird Rock Road. Call 465-8753 or ICWI.com.
Welcome back to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm Devonne Cornelius, and thank you for joining me on the program for today. For those of you who are just tuning in, I share that the Prime Minister will be addressing the nation this evening at 7:30, and that will be broadcast live here on ZIZ and other participating media outlets, radio stations. And the Prime Minister is currently in Jamaica with a delegation for the 49th CARICOM meeting, or the CARICOM Heads of Government meeting, where they are discussing shared priorities and matters related to regional cooperation. Sunday, July 6th, marked the culmination of a weekend of activities hosted by the Nevis Tourism Authority for the 11th staging of the Nevis Mango Festival. It ran from July 4th to 6th, 2025, and it was a showcase of something that is rich, something that is authentic, something that is has economic value, I would say, to the island of Nevis, and that was the Nevis Mango Festival there at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park. It started on the 4th, which would have been on the Friday, and there were various events such as bar crawl, restaurant crawl, whatever you want to call it, different private mango tasting events where patrons had the opportunity to go around to different restaurants and try different dishes and desserts and drinks and so on. But it was all mango. It was all mango, there being 44 different varieties of mango. And so that was for the entire weekend there on the island of Nevis. It was absolutely spectacular, the weekend, and you felt the buzz on the island. On Saturday, they did the bar crawl beginning in Charlestown, and there were a lot of people who came over to Nevis and from other parts of the region and the world to participate in the 11th annual Nevis Mango Festival. And then for the big event, for the culmination of the festival, patrons and visitors alike, or locals and visitors alike, gathered at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park for what I would say was the signature event dubbed For the Love of Mangoes. And what that event did, it gave locals and visitors alike the opportunity to you purchase your tickets, you get your samples, and you try different types of dishes from actual meals to desserts, to drinks, and so on, all infused and all made from mango, which is a very rich fruit. That event began at 11 a.m. and went into the evening. It also featured a concert, of course, called Mango Concert, and a number of local acts, including Abena Amri. And so it was a really good event there on the island of Nevis. It is in its 11th year, and it is growing and growing and growing. The 10th anniversary was absolutely amazing. We had the opportunity to speak with Director of Sales and Marketing, Fayon Jones, of the Nevis Tourism Authority, and he spoke about the significance of the event to the island of Nevis and what role it plays in boosting the local economy around what is traditionally the slow period, which is summer, where most persons from our source markets don't really travel to the Caribbean. And so he spoke about the significance of the event and, what it means for the promotion of Nevis as a tourist destination. When you go to another island 5, 10, 15 years from now and you mention Nevis, people can say, okay, that's a place with a lot of mangoes, with the 44 different varieties of mangoes. But it was a really good event, and it was good to see so many people enjoying themselves. The numbers that I'm receiving is more than 3,000 people attended the event, and so you can see where it continues to grow. And it has the same, I would say, goal of the St. Kitts Music Festival. The St. Kitts Music Festival it is 27th staging in the last week of June, and the Nevis Mango Festival, the 11th staging in the first week of July. Both festivals are to boost the local economy, and both festivals, one being in St. Kitts and the other being in Nevis, support each other. So with the St. Kitts Music Festival, of course, most of the economic activity and general activities took place on the island of St. Kitts, and so most of everything basically happened in St. Kitts. But there was the what you would call the trickle down effect, where Nevis also benefited from the staging of the St. Kitts Music Festival. And likewise with the Nevis Mango Festival, most of the economic activity was on the island of Nevis, but you saw where hundreds of people came over from the island of St. Kitts to experience the Nevis Mango Festival. So for me, both festivals have the same goal, and they are serving the public, they're serving the people, locals and visitors alike well. And again, it is to boost the local economy. And so you're talking about the restaurants, the taxi, which is underground water taxi. You're talking about the vendors, that's the food vendors, the art and craft vendors. You're talking about the hotels, guest houses, and so on. The flights, people, literally coming here to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And so kudos to the St. Kitts Tourism Authority for the St. Kitts Music Festival, and the Nevis Tourism Authority for the Nevis Mango Festival. Both events, I believe, were successful this year, and they can only continue to grow and grow and grow as these festivals continue to, they get older and they develop and so on. And it's an opportunity for locals and visitors alike to enjoy themselves and to immerse themselves in what St. Kitts and Nevis has to offer as a tourist destination. These festivals are unique to us, and I think we have been doing a tremendous job in not just selling the festival, but in selling the islands of St. Kitts and Nevis to the world and to our source markets. And this is what encourages people to come back to our federation. There was a couple who first came to Nevis, I believe, in the early 90s, 1991 or 1992, and Of course, they fell in love with the island and they kept coming back. But when the Nevis Mango Festival was introduced, they were like, yeah, I have to absolutely come back to the island of Nevis. And so that is absolutely amazing. And these are the type of stories that you love to hear about your island as it relates to tourism and hospitality. You're listening to the Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm your host, Devonne Cornelius, and thank you so much for joining me on the program for today. The Royal St. Christopher Nevis Police Force hosted a press conference on Thursday of last week. That's Thursday, July 3rd. And they used the opportunity to update the press and members of the public on matters of national importance as it relates to a number of investigations and other areas or other things that fall under the responsibility of the police force. Of course, they spoke about the recently concluded St. Kitts Music Festival and the issue of an age requirement, and that has been a conversation, ongoing now for quite some time. And over the last week or the weekend, the conversation it heightened, where a lot of people were giving their take on it in terms of whether they believe these events that are dubbed adult events should be only for adults, and so whether it is 18 and older or 21 and older. But I saw a comment which I respected, and I totally understand where they are coming from as well. And the comment was they respectfully disagree with the suggestion that it should just be 18-year-olds. And their position was that perhaps 15 and up or 16 and up. And their point was that a number of these events are supported by teenagers. A lot of these events, apart from the music festival, you have a number of events that are supported by teenagers. But for me, the events are supported by teenagers because they are allowed to attend. These events are supported by teenagers because they are allowed to attend. It does not necessarily mean that these events are, child friendly, or these are events that they should be attending. But it's a conversation that needs to happen. Some would argue that the buck stops with the parents and guardians, and I disagree. It does not stop with the parents and guardians, because I made the point here last week that if a parent decides that they're going to send their child to music festival this year, there's nothing that I can say, there's nothing anybody can say to deter them from having their child attend the festival next year. And so what the authorities need to do, instead of the lip service and just saying, yes, we think it should happen, put something in place. And so you show up to these events, you're asked to present your ID. I know in other places, for example, you go to the bar, or you go to not a restaurant, a bar or something, and before you can enter, the security guard would ask to see your ID, whether the age requirement is 21, 18, 25, whatever the case is. And so I think that is something that should be considered. But before, you listen to both sides and you perhaps have a consultation with the people to hear their perspective and to see if this is something that would actually make sense. We'll open the phone lines now and begin taking your calls at 465-1977 or 1903 or at 662-8674. Now, coming out of the press conference on Thursday as well was an update from the police as it relates to the investigation into the death of Janelica Romney And we posed some questions as to, what was her state when they found her, what led them to find Ms. Robney, and where is the investigation. So we know that one person has since been arrested and charged in relation to her disappearance, and the police say that very shortly they're going to be issuing further updates as it relates to that case in terms of where they are. They also spoke about the case involving 9-year-old Jamani Smithen from Nevis. I think it was about a year ago. He was shot and killed here in St. Kitts. And the update they provided was that 2 persons have since been charged. But I was made to understand they since corrected themselves, but they perhaps need to do that in a more public forum. 1 person has been charged, and a second person is in the process of being charged, according to the police. So the correction is 1 person has been charged, and I think that was earlier this year or last year, and they are in the process of charging a second person. So that is the correction there. And they spoke to a number of other areas, traffic and accidents being another one, where they are also looking at or having conversations about the number of accidents that happen in St. Kitts and Nevis. Of course, many are unavoidable. A lot of it has to do with people being under the influence in driving. I think we have our first call for the morning, so we'll take this call. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Devon.
Yes, good morning. How are you?
Oh, I'm not doing too bad for my age and enjoying my retirement.
All right. That's how we should be.
Yes. Okay. I want to draw a little attention to the general public noticement. The toilets in the mall. When the Ministry of Tourism is going to get these toilets rectified, we are approaching another opening of the cruise season very shortly. And no work has been done yet. Well, I gathered some information, Devon. Mm-hmm. I understand some alleged information since 2023. Somebody win the bid to do those toilets, So what you all could do when they have the next press conference, you all could ask the tourism minister if there is any truth that someone win the bid to rectify the toilets in the mall since 2023, and why has not that happened yet? And why are we still in them hot tub? It's since 2023 though we in them hot tubs, and the public and a number of taxi personnel tell me that when the biggest ship had come here, a lot of people went back on the ship because of those hot tubs. They were not getting proper access toilet uses. And why is it that we have not addressed some work on the mall yet, which was promised? And the other thing, why we have government headquarters, why we have the treasury looking like that, why we have the hospital up there looking like that, the back of the hospital. So when you go in the front of the entrance of the hospital, it looks lovely and welcoming. But when you walk around and go to the back, you wonder, wait, is this a jungle? Why the condition to the back is like that? With all those trees and bushes and so. And why is it all behind here, all the paint come off the building? But yet we're talking about, we're going on by Roscoe Bill and your hospital. So how come we are not We're doing the one that we are in use of now, the main hospital here, your main. Why is it we have the front looking so pretty and welcoming and nice, and around all to the back look like a war zone? I mean, we talking about health. This is our main health institution, and health again. We have the. You always hear me talking about. We have the treasury looking so awful right in the center of town. We have the government headquarters over in College Street looking so awful. The front looks so nice, but when you go in the back over there by College Street, it looks so awful.
You know, as you mentioned that, Carl, I realized there has long been an issue in St. Kitts and Nevis with the maintenance of government buildings. So we allocate funds to build them, but there is no allocation for the maintenance. The maintenance happens one-off, but there is no scheduled or no set time for maintenance, or there's no budget for maintenance. And so you find that we spend hundreds of millions of dollars to construct these facilities, but we forget that these facilities are man-made and they need maintenance.
Let me tell you the mistake all the governments have been making. They want to put all the load on public works with that small staff that public works have. Public works alone cannot maintain and the upkeep of all of these government institutions. And I said to them all the time, you all promise jobs. You all promise opportunities when you're campaigning. When now you're in, why not give out some subcontracts to people to do maintenance on some of these buildings?
Well, what I would say is Public Works is the appropriate department to maintain the government buildings because, you know, Public Works, public buildings. What they perhaps need to look at is having more persons assigned to the Public Works department. You know, so that's a conversation.
Why not subcontract some people then? And attach them to the Public Works subcontract. Okay. They're not a full staff, but they are contract staff of the Public Works department.
Okay, that makes sense.
To help them because they need a lot of help. And that is why all the government buildings them is ending up with mold. Staff have to be moving out. Staff have to get medical attention. And so because the load is too overload on Public Works alone.
All right.
Right? And one quick thing. The high school. I see, yes, the Deputy Prime Minister said the start of the high school, but if you all look at it, right, it was a political drama, what we say trick. They're not thousands and thousands of people would be here for music festival. So they run up there with a lot of machine and make it look like, well, they're doing something and digging up and making it look like these things start. But yet, you don't have no board with the design of the high school. You don't have no board with saying who is the contractor, who is the project manager on both ends of the high school. Right? But yet you say you start. Up to now, the public don't know who. Well, I know off and from information, who is the project manager and who got the contract. And a local person did not get the contract. An overseas company got the contract. And a local person who is a very good friend of the minister is the project manager. Right? But the public, these are things the public should have known many months ago. Right? And up to now, we don't know if they did a public assessment of the grounds. We don't know if they bring in overseas international organization to test up there to see if the ground is good and ready to start build a high school along with our international local testers here. But you run up there because, you know, a lot of people coming in for music festival and to fool the people to make them think, oh, yes, they start the high school. Yeah, but you ain't put the proper measures in place. You ain't allowed the public to let the public know these is what's happening. This is how it's going to go. And I'm still asking, so when is the high school going to finish? How many years is going to take? When the keys is going to hand over to the state? These are things we should have done now.
Mm-hmm.
So I show you it was a public drama attraction because a lot of people were coming in the place. Are gone.
All right, caller. Thank you so much for your contribution to the program. You are listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. It's 11:37, and we continue to take your calls at 465-1977 or 1903 or at 662-8674. If we have no calls, we'll take a break and we'll come back and continue the conversation.
Build your dream home. Now it's time to protect it. You've worked hard to build your dream home. Now it's time to protect it. With ICWI's A-plus homeowners policy. From hurricane damage to unexpected losses, we've got you covered with the best homeowners protection in the region. Protect your most valuable asset with coverage for what matters most when it matters the most. ICWI, we know insurance. You know you're protected. ICWI, serving you is all we do. Click, call, or visit ICWI today. Visit us at 1C Bird Rock Road. Call 465-8753 or ICWI.com.
The Caribbean's greatest summer festival, Antigua Carnival 2025, July 25th to August 5th. Get ready for music, mass, band, fets, and non-stop vibes. Mark your calendar and don't miss a single show, a single fet, a single unforgettable moment. This is more than Carnival. This is the ultimate experience. Follow the vibes. Instagram at Antigua Festival Official. Facebook at Antigua Carnival. Vibe responsibly. Antigua Carnival 2025. It's a vibe.
It's a vibe, come alive for me.
Want to get away? Then Uwali Beach Resort is calling your name. Whether you're dreaming of a romantic escape, a family adventure, or a peaceful retreat, Uwali has it all. Relax in comfort, enjoy fresh local and international cuisine, and soak up the sun on the best beach in Nevis. Take advantage of our staycation special exclusively for citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis. Ready to book? Call us at 469-9735 or 662-9735. Email reservations@uwalibeach.com. And don't forget to use promo code ZIZ. Your escape starts now.
Welcome back to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm your host, Devonne Cornelius, and thank you for joining me on the program for today. The phone lines remain open, 467-1977, 465. We have a call on the line. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Devon.
Yes, how are you doing today?
Oh, not too bad. I just come from the mountain. Just want to look for the animal there.
All right.
First, I want to give God thanks for life. And give thanks for the federation of a good country. But you know the kind of people we got here. You know, try to destroy the country and make the country look like whatever. Even in our political arena. But Devon, I listen to you with the music festival. You're going to hear a lot of people talking about the 15 years old going to music festival. Devon, I believe that if a 15 years old could go to the music festival, because if a 15 years old could smoke, and nobody paying attention to him. He walk with his clip in here smoking. Some of them they got a calabash and are smoking. They implant it. I believe that they don't open up to the world and do not advance themselves to these things. And I believe they could go take responsibility for themselves to go to music festival. Because they do it on social media. Because I'm sure they got a phone and watch all these things on social media too. And nobody telling them, the parents looking for them. So I believe that if they could smoke and drink and at them age, or get children to 15 years and them age, they could go to music festival in December too. You understand? If we talk about 12 years or 11 years or so, you could pick them away from that. Because them at 12 years or so will You know, he look bad as a 12 years child going to these things, or even smoking. You understand? Because if me see a 12 years child with a slip in here, me gonna pull him about it. I 11 years child with a slip in here, with a beer bottle, drinking alcohol or something, I'll pull them about it. Asking if they ain't going to school or whatever. But 15 years old, he brains can open up to a lot of things. They're advancing life to whatever mature kill or whatever they be. They could go out and look girlfriend and get children, or look boyfriend. And I believe that they could go to the music festival and go enjoy themselves just like any adults. All right, then, Devon.
All right, caller, thank you for your contribution to the program. It is 11:43, and you're listening to The Edge. Call us at 465-1977 or 1903 or at 662-8674. Call and lend your voice to the conversation at hand. But caller, thank you for your contribution. And as I mentioned earlier, that is a conversation that is ongoing, not just in this public space, but also, social media and other areas where people are giving their take on minors being allowed to attend these events. There are some who believe that they should be allowed ages 15 and older, or age 16 and older, and the others who argue it should be strictly for 18 and older or 21 and older for these events. I think we have a call on the line, so we'll head back to the phone lines and we'll take this call. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Devon. Carl again. Mm-hmm. Another observation, Devon. Now, we have two Heroes Park in St. Kitts. Why all of a sudden the Heroes Park in Connery become the biggest attraction for entertainment now?
What do you mean in terms of having entertainment events there?
Inside there, up to Saturday, they had a big entertainment attraction there. Wow. All of a sudden now, everybody carrying the entertainment and thing up there. What? There is no respect. There is no...
What was that? What was the event? What was the event? What they had there?
They had like this dance thing with bands and artists and things Saturday.
And that was in the park itself, or was it in the field? There's a field next door.
Inside the park, they had it. What happened to the Connery grounds? What happened to the grounds there by Scott Keynes, the pass on the other side here, by the scenic railway?
Mm.
What happened to where we don't have agricultural food fair? What happened to the park we just fenced up there? What happened to all down Bristol village playground and all those things? What happened to Carnival Village? All of a sudden now nobody having nothing in Carnival Village.
Well, some would argue that Carnival Village is for Carnival.
No, look at it. The Statue of Liberty is around for, hundreds of years now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see them don't have any dance and any shows around the Statue of Liberty?
Well, I don't know. I'm not there. Maybe they do and we don't know.
No, but that place is properly secure and well guarded and covered by all kind of security and things. You think any organization could go there and say they're going to have a dance or they're going to have a party or anything like that inside and around the Statue of Liberty?
Well, I totally understand your perspective. For me...
Okay, a question.
Yeah.
How come you don't go up the cemetery and got nothing up there? No, you have a whole respect on St. Paul's. You don't hear nobody going up there, got nothing. In respect of our late Premier, Bracho, right? When they have anything down there, it's something hero towards Mr. Bracho.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You don't see them go there and have no dance and no shows and no party and them kind of thing down the Heroes Park in St. Paul's. We have so much areas where we could give small businesses a little boost and things when we have these sessions and stuff. Why all of a sudden now, almost every 2 weeks, something is at the Hero Star? Why that sudden disrespect of our national heroes? I mean, we have to look into this seriously. We have too many places in Tintis to have all these entertainments. All of a sudden, everybody running up the heroes, start disrespecting our national heroes. Them and all of the people them rest and let the place, kingdom. We got too much areas.
All right.
Here, we got the Canary playing field up there. We have all the Scott Cairns there. We have where the agricultural field here just held. We have a park, we just fenced it up there on the Kim Collins Highway. Why not go there to have you session them? We have the stadium, we have Carnival Village, we have sports ground, we have village ground, we have so much areas we could have these things. Why we must go up the Heroes Park and disrespect it like that? Oh God.
All right, caller, thank you for your contribution to the program. The phone lines remain open. We take your calls at 465-1977 or 1903. Our cell number, which is 662-8674. You're listening to The Edge on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM, and we are taking your calls. Let's head back to the phone lines, and we'll take this caller. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, Devon. A pleasant Monday morning to you and the blessed week ahead.
Same to you.
Last week, I listened contentively to the program concerning the same thing about music festival and children being on the ground of music festival. I just heard you made a comment and said that persons have mixed age groups for children being involved in music festival. This is my input. Music festival is an adult session. The voting age is now 18 years old. So I would say 18 years and above. We go to music festival, we hear these songs that are played. Yes, people listen, their children listen to these songs on the radio. We have no control on that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Parents has to know there's a limit that children should not be involved in adult affairs. Now, I heard Mr. Politics come on just now saying, and other persons are saying it, that they think 15-year-olds should be allowed to come to music fest. We know what music fest is entitled. We know how some of the artists behave. We know some of the songs that are sung. I have problems with some of the songs that have been sung by the singers who come to perform for music festival. But you are telling me now it's okay for 15-year-olds to come to music fest. This is how things goes wrong. This is how things get out of hand. Then when things begin to go upside down, we start to bawl to the pastor and everybody else to solve the issue. There are too much things that we having problems with the young adults in Tintis under the age of 18, and a lot of it is because of adults who allow the situation to get out of hand. Because we sit back and we say, oh, they are children. They have to enjoy themselves. They have to this. They have to that. And then when things get bad and the situations can reverse, we try to chop up Peter, Harry, Dick, and Paul for the mistakes that we as adults have made. Everybody's been talking about the carnival. People think it's a joke, but just now carnival going to become there's not going to be no clothes because they're almost down to that.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to wear no clothes. The thing is, when we start carnival getting out of control with the costumes, we lay back and we admire them and we watch them and we laugh. Now it's totally out of control. Now we're realizing the disrespect. Now we're realizing where things are going. We're getting on the ear and we're trying to condemn Peter, Harry, Dick, and Paul. Nobody wants to nip nothing in the butt when it starts. But when it gets full-blown, blow up, big explosion, everybody wants some great master to come in and change the situation that is fully out of control. Children are not allowed to be in music festival. It's an adult event. 18 years since the voting age, is 18. I'll say go ahead from 18 and beyond. And hear the story. You're walking with an ID. Because you're going to come inside there, and when you get in there, you say, yeah, 18 years old, and you ain't 18 years old because some people, some adults look younger than the age, and some children look older than the age. So therefore, you can't come to music festival. When you're coming with an ID, because I'm going to inspect your ID, and I don't care whether your mother, your father, your uncle, your auntie bought your ticket, you're not coming in there. We have to stand with ground. We have to respect ourselves and follow the rules and regulations. So much time I hear people come on the radio and back them out and say, they're following the rules, and the police ain't doing this, and this ain't doing that. And then when they try to do it, but it's tricky. But why they want to do this? Let the children them got the time and enjoy themselves. And then when the problem gets out of hand, you hear it. But when the police then was, how come they wasn't there? And how come nobody want to uphold the rules and regulations of the country? Devon, there needs to be a standard set, and it needs to be carried out. Thank you very much for hearing me. Have a good day. Take care.
All right, caller. We'll take one more call. Caller, you have just 1 minute. Go ahead quickly, please.
Okay, 1 minute.
Yes,
okay.
Go ahead.
Greetings, man. Give thanks for the sharing. Okay, we noticed the polite, talking about nipping the body remind me of the nastiness. We ain't try to stop it when it starts, because we didn't so, and then we having a nastiness crisis. We noticed the polite violence continue. All police are practicing. Police of the police force, here what name force. Question. When is the time for the $500 minimum wage?
It took effect from July 1st, 2025.
Okay. Thank you very much. Bless.
All right, caller, thank you for your contribution to the program. It's 11:54. You've been listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio, 96.1 FM. I have been your host, Devonne Cornelius. And let me say thank you so much for joining me in the program for today. As the caller asked about the minimum wage, this is the highest minimum wage in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. As of July 1st, 2025, St. Kitts and Nevis now officially holds the highest national minimum wage in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, which is $500 per week or $12.50 per hour based on a 40-hour work week. This follows the first increase from $360 to $430 per week that took effect on January 1st, 2024. Now, with this second increase just 18 months later, the Julian government has lifted the minimum wage by a total of $140, or nearly 39%, an unprecedented move to uplift workers. So that is $500 weekly. And just to provide a little bit of clarity in terms of the breakdown of the minimum wage, so the hourly rate is $12.50. The weekly rate, is $500, and this is based on a 40-hour work week. The monthly rate would be $2,166.66 based on a 40-hour work week. So the calculation breakdown for the monthly minimum wage rate is as follows. $12.50 times 8 hours, that's $100 per day. $100 times 260 working days, that's 52 weeks times 5 days, that's $26,000. And that's $26,000 by 12 months, that's $2,166.66. 66 cents. That is the least amount of money you should be receiving. You've been listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I've been your host, Devonne Cornelius. Until next time, you guys stay safe. Continue to enjoy the rest of your Monday. Don't drink and drive. Don't text and drive. Coming up now is our midday newscast. Stay with us.